A watershed master plan provides the methodology to evaluate the capacity of a watershed to protect, enhance, and restore water quality in natural systems while achieving flood protection. As a jointly funded project between Pinellas County, the City of Tarpon Springs, and the Southwest Florida Water Management District, the goal of the Anclote River Watershed Master Plan is to 1. Evaluate existing conditions throughout the watershed, 2. Identify issues associated with resource management, 3. Improve infrastructure conditions, and 4. Improve water quality in natural systems. The Watershed Master Plan consists of 4 main elements. The first element is the watershed evaluation, where the watershed's boundaries, topographic data, and hydraulic features are examined. The second element is the floodplain analysis, to predict the flooding extents for design storm events in the watershed. The third element, a surface water resource assessment, analyzes the water quality, habitat, and other important system health indicators. And the fourth and final stage, best management plan, is to create drainage and water quality improvement alternatives which are aimed to decrease flooding and increase the health of the watershed. The first 2 elements are currently complete for this project. The watershed evaluation, or the understanding of the project in the data collection phase, is the first element of the Watershed Master Plan. The Anclote River watershed encompasses over 120 square miles. The lower and westernmost portion of the watershed lies within Pinellas County. This 15.3 square mile portion of the watershed is the focus of this study. The Anclote River originates in south central Pasco County. The river flows west before entering into Pinellas County, just west of East Lake Fern Road, where the main channel becomes tidally influenced. In Pinellas County, the river begins to meander with many oxbows as it flows by Salt Lake, Tarpon, and Spring bayous before discharging to the northernmost portion of St. Joseph Sound. Land use in the Anclote River watershed encompasses a variety of land cover types. Unlike many of the watersheds located throughout the Tampa Bay area that are primarily residential, the project area is a mix of both developed and undeveloped land uses. This mixture includes 35% of the project area comprised of water and wetland features and 32% residential areas. The remaining portion of the watershed is comprised of commercial, industrial, institutional, and natural land uses. The soils within a watershed impacts the watershed's ability to absorb or infiltrate water during rainfall events instead of creating runoff. Over 80% of the study area is comprised of either hydrologic soil group A, which has high infiltration rates, or dual soil group classifications, which indicates that the soil has different infiltration rates depending on the season, either wet season or dry season. Water that is not absorbed or infiltrated into the soil results in runoff during storm events. To avoid flooding, this runoff must be able to be stored in storage features, such as ponds or wetlands, or capable of being conveyed through the existing channel and pipe system within the watershed. The final phase of the watershed evaluation is the collection of existing data. This data includes everything from elevation data, as obtained from the county's December 2017 LIDAR data, to existing roadway or capital improvement plans, past studies, or various reports as provided by Pinellas County, the City of Tarpon Springs, and the Southwest Florida Water Management District. The data collected during the watershed evaluation is then used to develop a hydrologic and hydraulic computer model and to perform a water quality analysis to assess the watershed's existing conditions and identify potential issues. Issues evaluated after the floodplain analysis and the surface water resource assessment are complete will include flooding, water quality degradation, and community resiliency and sustainability for climate change. Once the precise issues and the location of these issues are identified, best management practices or proposed projects will be developed to help resolve the issues. It is the flooding throughout the watershed which is the focus of this presentation. Element 2 of the Watershed Master Plan is the floodplain analysis, with goals of accurately mapping the flood risk, converting A zones to AE zones, and ensuring consistency with FEMA guidelines. The interconnected channel and pond routing model, commonly referred to as ICPR, was used in this project to model the watershed. Data collected during the watershed evaluation phase was used to incorporate over 600 channels, pipes, and structures into the ICPR one-dimensional and two-dimensional model regions. The floodplain is then delineated by mapping the results of the ICPR hydrologic and hydraulic computer model onto the watershed's terrain, in this case using the 2017 LIDAR data. A draft floodplain has been developed for the Anclote River watershed for the 100-year, 24-hour design storm event. This is the storm event that has a 1% probability of occurring in any given year. It should be noted that this draft floodplain is for informational purposes only and is subject to change. This draft floodplain does not reflect FEMA's special flood hazard areas as identified on the effective flood insurance rate maps. The draft floodplain can be viewed in more detail on the Anclote River Watershed Floodplain Viewer. This viewer can be accessed via the link provided on the screen. When you first open up the viewer, you will see an overview of the study area boundary. To zoom in on the floodplain, use the plus button at the top left-hand side of the screen. To pan around, simply click on the screen and drag in the desired direction. You can then either use the minus button to zoom out on the floodplain or the home button to return to the study area overview. The viewer also allows the ability to turn the various layers on and off for easier viewing. To turn a layer on or off, click on the layer icon located next to the zoom out icon at the top left-hand side of the screen. This will open up the Layers control panel, and you can click in the boxes next to the various layers to turn them on, shown by a check mark, or turn them off, shown by an empty box. To change the background imagery displayed on the screen, for example, to turn off the aerial background and turn on a street layer map, click on the icon of the 4 squares, which is also located at the top left-hand side of the screen. From the Base Map Gallery control panel, you can then simply click on the base layer you want to display. To provide comments or additional input on this draft floodplain, a link can be found at the bottom of the Anclote River Watershed Open House webpage. This webpage can be accessed at www.pinellascounty.org/Anclote River WMP.